Ladies and gentlemen, this is a little detour from our show 250 about my personal testimony, which we are, I believe, the next one is going to be chapter 12 or something like that. But this is a little detour, something very important that we must talk about. In 2006, the year 2006, the United States invaded Iraq, right? That was the let's get Saddam Hussein, let's get a rope around Saddam Hussein's neck. So we invaded Iraq, claiming that they had weapons of mass destruction. And I guess we had the receipts to prove that they had them from the sale of such weapons. But anyway, it was a stupid war, right? But one thing happened, like in all wars, bad things happen in wars, you know, collateral damage and a whole bunch of bad, evil stuff, because mankind, I don't think God intended for us to have wars, to kill each other. I think God intended for us to love each other, like the hippie revolution said, make love, not war. But there's one incident that still is in my mind, in my heart, and bothers me, I know they kind of swept it under the rug, but I think it's important to mention, as the title of this, you may have noticed, U.S. soldiers rape an underage Iraqi girl. Okay, now, there was these U.S. soldiers that were pulling guard duty somewhere in Iraq, probably in the capital, and they were eyeing out this 14-year-old schoolgirl who looked kind of sexy in their eyes, plus they were drinking beer. And every time she would walk home from school, I guess they would check her out in a nasty way, I mean, a 14-year-old, and for a long time in the newspapers of the United States, it claimed that it was a woman of childbearing age, that the soldiers had raped a woman of childbearing age. That's what it said in the news for a very long time. They didn't disclose her age. If it was an American woman, even 21 years old, they consider her a child. How come an Iraqi 14-year-old girl was considered a woman of childbearing age? Like an animal. Anyway, the soldiers were eyeing her out, checking her out, and one day, I guess they got the courage, they had been drinking beer, they followed her, they went to her house. To make a long story short, in Iraq, all the families lived together, the uncles and blah, blah, blah. And they lined them all up against the wall, even a 6-year-old child. And 4 or 5 U.S. soldiers, they gang raped this 14-year-old Iraqi girl. And after they gang raped her, they shot her in the head, and they ended up burning her body. And they shot all the other relatives, even the 6-year-old child, so that there will be no witnesses. How did we find out? One of the soldiers had a remorse of his conscience, and he ended up confessing the crime that they had committed. Or else it would have all been hush-hush, right? So that's what happened. I thought it was very important to note, how horrible, how terrible, huh? That our soldiers could go to Iraq and rape a 14-year-old girl or a woman of childbearing age, and then shoot her in the head and kill all her family so there would be no witnesses, and burn her body. That's what they did. Now, I don't know where these soldiers are now, if some of them were forgiven. Who knows, right? I know one thing, it was said in the news, I think it was a politician, a U.S. politician said, or the lawyers for the soldiers, they did declare that it had to be taken into consideration that these soldiers were under a lot of stress and they had been drinking beer. I felt like telling that guy, I'm under a lot of stress. Can I borrow your granddaughter? I've been drinking beer too. Oh, so that was a good excuse for them raping a 14-year-old woman of childbearing age and killing her and burning her body and killing all her family. That was a good excuse. They had a good reason. They were under a lot of stress and they were drinking beer. I just thought we should remember this so it won't happen again. I love you guys. I love to characterize my personality. God bless you. Thank you. Peace and love.